Okay, I will assume that this means we are live. Welcome, buenas. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream with Ace here at GM Ace about the Ecuador Paro. Uh, we're beginning now just to make sure that the audio is okay, and obviously because it's 9, that's the time that I scheduled it for. Which, speaking of scheduling, this live stream technically we're supposed to do live streams every Friday, and even I was in doubts if I was going to do a live stream today or if I was going to do it on Friday or Saturday. But after watching the short that Lewis of Ecuador made recently, I saw it and I was like, the battle's over. And then I checked up online and I saw that the situation with the paro, that apparently the strike, the paro in Ecuador, is lifted. It's done. So now I decided, well, let's do the live stream today. Let's talk a little bit about it, as well as some of the things linked to it. And I think something a little more, well, I mean, for Ecuadorian citizens, it's all grave, but maybe for some people from the outside looking in, you might have seen the news about the bomb, the car bomb in Guayaquil, as really really grave, more than the paro, because like even with paro, like you see, even with the strike, you might have seen a lot of people like things just flowing as usual. We literally uh, about a week ago at this point had the election for the Queen of Manabi, which I made a post on my YouTube page in the post section. So you might have seen that. But yeah, other than that, there's of course other things to talk about, which were kind of like some concerning things, some just news things, some updates to how I'm going with like my videos, because I know it's been a while since I posted a video that's not a live stream, and there's a reason for that. I've been heavy editing that, and in fact, even one of the edits that I want to make for that video, like I still require some recording for it, so it's like it's become more of a process than necessary. But anyways, we're probably only going to be here for about an hour just to talk about this, give an update, give some information on the paro. I also got an email from someone, and I also saw a message, not a message, but a comment on one of the posts. Someone asking a question about the situation the with traveling around these areas, and I just want to give some comments on all of that. I will probably reply to the comment, and I will reply to the email if that person isn't watching this stream, of course. But this is just general information updates. I didn't want to miss out on my weekly live stream, and in fact, there might even be, if things go the way as planned, we might even have another live stream tomorrow. But let me finish with the main thoughts first, main things that we're going to talk about today. So, yeah, first, buenas, of course, once again. Hello to everyone who's joining the stream. I know it is really, really, really random. I know it is really, really, really late. It's 9, but I've seen people live streaming at at 10, going into like 12 or 1. Crazy live streams. Of course, some of them are gaming live streams, but even more so, like watching someone game that late is pretty crazy. Uh, I really would love to do something like that. I remember when we used to do that with my friends, and we had these big live streaming parties, gaming, just showing a little bit of Among Us and stuff like that during the pandemic. That was crazy. Those were great times. But yeah, today we have more immediate things to talk about. This is gonna feel kind of like one of my classes that I've been giving recently, where at the beginning of the class I tell everyone, so right now, everyone who's here right now at the time that I started, you're on time, you're early. At in this case 9:05. After that, you're late. And then if you make it at 9:10, I'll be like, okay, that's not terrible. But after 9:10, you're late. So anything you missed out from after that, I mean, there's no going back. Maybe just like a slight comment, but like no real going back. Okay, so we're gonna start in a bit. Let me just start sharing the uh, the news. Once again, I saw this from Lewis of Ecuador's short, because I hadn't even realized that this broke news recently, and I was like, really? especially what kind of affected me in the perception of the paro, and I think that's what affected a lot of people. I even made a meme about it. I didn't make it, but I saw someone and I just modified it to be in English, of course, because I like to translate the memes so that anyone who's here who also wants to learn a little bit of Spanish, you see the meme in English and you're like, oh, okay, I get the joke now. But I made this meme, like I modified it into English, translated it, where it's basically like people were complaining about how, oh, with the paro, with the strikes, we can't work. Uh, Gosh darn it. And then it's like when they heard the 4 days of holidays, because that was completely unexpected, by the way. Don't think that, oh, over here it's like, oh, we see the chance for a holiday and we take it. It does sometimes end up being the case, but in this case it was just like no one expected it, and then boom, out of nowhere, the president declared a 4 day holiday. And from my corner of Ecuador, I was like, 4 days of holiday? That's pretty crazy. But so many people were celebrating. I mean, when I was in the holiday itself, like I was happy about it because I had a break and I got to do more things, catch up on more things. That's when I got to do some really heavy editing. I even got some extra work in. Um, but it was really unexpected. By the way, let me know if the audio is good. So if the audio is not good, we can fix that. I'm hoping it is because I can see the desktop here. I can see the the audio mixer actually moving. So I'm like assuming you can hear me, especially since no one has said anything. But yeah, it was really surprising to see a 4 day holiday. But people didn't seem to complain too much about it. And from the little I saw, I don't think there was much of a paro, of a strike during the 4 day holiday. I could have sworn I even saw one of the news reports saying the paro is going on a short hiatus, a short break during the 4 day holiday. And it's like, I mean, I don't know how to look at it because in one way, like why strike when there's a vacation if no one's really gonna be like moving around? But at the same time, how can I take your strike seriously if you take the days off when you should be striking? But at the same time, I'm like, damn, if I were striking and there were a holiday and I knew no one was gonna stop by here, like it wasn't gonna do much, like why would I strike? Because it would be like killing the only vacation time that I might even have. So it was like, I was so conflicted. But it just plays into the idea that, in my opinion, part of the reason why I feel like the holiday was extended into 4 days was kind of to put that pressure on the people protesting and show the people themselves like people are willing to complain that there's a 4 day weekend, that there's a not the 4 day weekend, that there's the paro, the strikes. They're mad because they can't work. But as soon as there's a holiday, everyone celebrates. Everyone's like super happy, like, oh yeah, forget about it. That doesn't matter. It's strike, whatever. I'm not working anyway. So it's like, you know, you're free to your point of view. That's just some of the thoughts that I have on the situation. So let's talk about this. Of course, this is the main news that we want to talk about today, the paro in Ecuador, or the perceived end of the paro. I say perceived because I still feel like there's things that are a little bit doubtful in my mind on what I read because I was reading through this to understand what happened, and I want to know exactly what's going on. Even just to pull up an article that I also wanted to read, there was also this one that let me translate it to English because today is the 16th of October, October 16th, and there are still roads that are closed on October 16th, the day of the paro, the ending supposedly. So it's like, did the paro really end? Did the strike really end if they still have roads closed? We'll read up on this and talk about it. I already read it, but I want to give you the insight. So, first, let's look at the title of this article, Strike in Ecuador. Today, the strike is lifted. Today, the roads are open in Imbabura, announces John Rainberg after dialogue with indigenous leaders. The strike in Imbabura is lifted after 24 days of protests. I kind of feel like it wasn't 24 days, but wow, it's that much time has passed. This was announced by the Minister of Interior and Indigenous leaders after a meeting in Otavalo, although there were voices against it. In Quito and Guayaquil, there were demonstrations. So let's read up on this. Uh, let's read from here. After a 4 hour meeting, the Minister of the Interior, John Rainberg, Manuel Catacuango, spokesperson for the mobilization, and Marta Tuqueres, president of UNORCAC, announced that the strike is lifted in Imbabura, a province blocked by protests called by CONAIE for 24 days. The agreement was that they will install territorial tables to advance in the discussion of proposals such as the possibility of freezing the cost of diesel after the government withdrew the subsidy on this fuel and led to these protests that led to strong clashes on October 14th. In addition, they asked for they asked that the legal situation of 50 detainees be reviewed. Okay, so I was kind of confused about this situation about territorial tables. I've never heard the term territorial tables, to be honest. And looking at it, hold up, this wasn't it. I had to look it up. Here, this is what the AI summary gives you. A technical territorial table is a space of discussion and decision making that involves different social actors or social contributors, I guess, and organizations to discuss problems specific to a territory, to an area. These tables allow for active participation of the community and the organized community, uh, facilitating the exchange of knowledge, the coordination and decision making to implement actions and solutions to local problems. So that is the idea of the territorial table. So basically, the way that I understand it, and since they're talking about the possibility of freezing the cost of diesel, this is just basically not a protest, but a formal area where they can protest. It's almost like that. Like basically imagine that now you don't have to take to the streets and hope to get the attention of the government by doing, things that affect everyone, but you can sit down and talk to governmental leaders, to people who will listen and not have to obstruct the daily lives of ordinary citizens. And in this case, they're trying to look towards freezing the cost of diesel, meaning that if diesel is going up or down in price at some point in time outside of the country, or maybe even inside the country, they stop it from being able to move. So even if for some reason we get diesel from a different country at a more expensive price, I'm assuming uh, they're still gonna have to sell it to the people at a price that's stable at whatever the price is right now. Um, I'm assuming that's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to argue for, to fight for. And also, there were a lot of people who were detained, and they want their situations to be, reviewed. And by reviewed, that basically just interpret that as, hey, can you let these people go, or like at least just give them a slap on the wrist and not make it so that they're stuck in jail. But yeah, I'm seeing that we have Roland. Hello, Roland. Good evening. Buenas. Or I'm not sure what time it is where you're at. I will be visiting Quito, Ecuador this November. Is Quito safe to visit? I do have to make my should you visit Ecuador video, but I think this year, as part of the things that one of the new things that I'm going to do after I finish my series of extra videos, which I can't really let go on for much longer because we're almost at the end of the year, I'm probably going to make two videos. Why you should visit Ecuador in 2026 and why you shouldn't visit Ecuador in 2026. Since you're coming in November, the closest thing that the most simple thing I can tell you right now is that if the strike were still ongoing, I might have told you like, hey, you might want to like reconsider or at least pay attention to the news, because something that was interesting during this whole battle time is that the news outlets, they gave you the information of where the streets were blocked in Ecuador. Like for example, here this is the article that says that the roads are still closed in Ecuador on October 16th, despite the announcement of the end of the strike in Imbabura. Before we go into the roads that were blocked and what I was going to just say in general, what I do want to mention in this case is that I kind of feel like, of course, the roads will still be closed because, like it said, there were still demonstrations, there were still strikes in Guayaquil and Quito, apparently. And of course, that if the roads were blocked and if the discussions didn't go through, they weren't just gonna like not protest that day because there were discussions. I'm assuming that that while the discussions were while they were in place, while they were going on, the strikes were still going on. The people were still trying to, show that they were there and not just like, oh, hey, because this discussion's happening, we're not going to strike today. No, they're still striking, still trying to get what they wanted, doing things in, I assume, not violent way, not convenient for the local people because there was another article over here that the 24 days of the strike of the paro completely altered people's routines, but that's besides the point at this moment. What I'm trying to say here is that it's kind of silly to think that the same day that the discussions were going on, with the possibility of the discussions not going the direction that the government might have wanted, which was what they actually ended up in, the strike ending. If the strike would have continued, then of course the people still had the strike. So like they were probably still striking while the discussions were going on. Discussions ended, strikes ended, and everything that they had set up, they have to take it down. Some things were probably already set up so that way. I mean, I don't know. I've never been in a strike, but I can only assume that dragging out like a whole bunch of gear to put on the streets because there's here. I think I saw something about burning tires when I was reading this and other things like to remove that immediately. I don't think it's going to be easy. It's probably going to be something like between today, tomorrow, and the day after, they'll be removing things. And if we go at Ecuador speed, it might even be a week before everything is completely dissipated. And there's also the situation that there's one person or one group that didn't agree with the strike ending. Let me see. I think it was somewhere over here. And here, there were no representatives of the Karanki people because they disagreed with the lifting of the strike. Its leaders withdrew from the dialogue tables and did not attend the press conference. So there's the possibility that there's still a group of indigenous people who are not in agreement with what's going on with the strike being ended. And because of that, you never know. There could be a certain area, certain roads that were controlled by these groups of people who were striking, and they could still keep striking. There's, in my mind, even though the official news is the battle is over, if something goes wrong, we could be right back in battle territory. I don't want that to be the case, uh, but never discard it as a possibility. And going back to what I was saying about visiting Quito in Ecuador this November, since the strike is over, I think that was the most concerning thing that I could have mentioned. That's even part of what the email, and I think, no, just the email, I think it was, what I was going to mention to that person, which I'm still going to send them an email replying about that. You can visit Quito. I think Quito is a fine city to visit. Out of all the cities you could possibly visit in Ecuador, Quito is on the top of one of the ones that I feel, as long as you're visiting touristic areas, as long as you're taking necessary simple precautions, like not being crazy and going out super late or, doing nonsensical things, I think it's a very good place to visit, especially now that the strikes are over. Because with the strikes, I would have said you have to look out for these streets that are being blocked, and you can actually use, like I said, like I was gonna say with this point, these websites. Primicias overall is the one I think I saw the most. That had every day it had like a news article of these are the streets that are going to be closed. These are the roads that are going to be closed on October 3rd, on October 4th, on October 5th. And every day you could go onto this site and see what roads were closed. And you could try to avoid them to the best of your abilities. You couldn't foresee the ones that were going to be closed because they don't tell you, oh, this street is going to be closed a week from now. They didn't give that kind of foresight, but they did give enough information where if you were in the city at the moment and you wanted to coordinate your day, you just looked at the article and you're like, okay, I'm gonna avoid this street because it's blocked, this street because it's blocked, and this street because it's blocked, because that would have been the easiest way to navigate the streets where they were in battle. Because look here, these are the 12 roads that are still closed. There's this road over here in Carachi via El Ángel Mira Mascarilla via Bolivar Piqui Biquicho, Biquicho, I don't know. That one's a hard one. The Imbabura roads that you can see here, Loja via Loja San Lucas due to demonstrations in the Iquique area, and there's a few more that you can see here. The ones in Pichincha, the demonstrators closed roads in Loja, two roads closed in Carchi, blockades on the Pan American Highway. Like, if you looked at the news during that day of the strike, you would be okay. And I would have told you do that if you're visiting Ecuador and if the strikes were still going on in November. But right now, since the strikes are over, so they say, um, I honestly think you could go visit Quito as much as you want. Just once again, don't be that guy that's like, oh hey, dangerous street right there. I don't see people. It looks dark. I don't know why that sounds inviting to anyone, but and then you're like, I'm gonna go through that street. Mm-mm. Don't do that. So yeah, it's just my humble opinion in regards uh, to what I think is the situation right now with visiting Quito in November and in most of the country in general. Though, this is where we can continue and transition to the next piece of news, which is this whole situation with the car bomb in Guayaquil. And honestly, I these days, like literally between yesterday and today, this is what I've mostly heard people talking about. Like, forget the strike. People are talking about this and how it's pretty crazy that there was a car bomb attack in Guayaquil. And part of what I thought was interesting about this conversation, which I'll talk about first before I read it, is that I think I kind of felt like people were fed up because I saw somewhere, I don't remember, I don't think I have it as one of the tabs open, but I saw someone or an article saying that people want answers. Like, how is it possible that this is happening? And I know between citizens, we always we're fed up. Like, we're tired of crime. We're tired of the situations. Of course, it's not like it happens directly to us when it comes to these car bombings, when it comes to the shootings, and it's what I say a lot of the time. Even for the person who wants to visit Quito, like you're not gonna find yourself with a mass shooting easily. This isn't, and I'm not saying that it's easy to find in the States, but it's a lot easier to find over there than over here because over here people aren't carrying around AR rifles, and in the States, someone with a mental health disorder, even ex-veterans of the army, of military services, and I don't blame like them for having some kind of situation because a friend of mine who is married with a soldier actually told me like their life is tough and I get that, and the things that you see, the things that you go through, the training, like it's not something that's for everyone, and it's not something that you walk out of easily, especially if these people have been through war situations, through seeing countless lives lost, or being the ones who take those lives. So for them not to get like mental health help after their service, it's understandable how some people could come back from that and just not be okay. And I'm not justifying it like, oh, hey, that's great. I'm glad that you have these mental health issues. I'm saying that it's terrible that you leave people who serve your country in that condition and you don't give them like the tools that they need to be okay. Like you give them money and you're like, okay, that's gonna solve everything. No, that doesn't solve everything. Money is not gonna solve issues. Some people don't realize that they're going through these problems because maybe they're blinded by the fact that they have some money. Maybe they're blinded by other things that are more immediately important to them because they don't assume that they have a problem and they don't want to accept it sometimes. So looking after your soldiers after they've gone through these processes, I don't think is a bad thing, but they just don't. So once again, going back into that situation, if you're over here, the chances of you running into something like this, like it's not frequent. But that doesn't mean that us as people want to end up being caught up in it and that we like the fact that it's happening in the first place. Like I think anyone who had a loved one because, as it says here, reading the news, the police confirmed that the explosive used in the car bomb that left one dead and 26 injured in Guayaquil was emulsion, something used in illegal mining, said Colonel Francisco Zumaraga, commander of Zone 8. So there was one person dead, and if that one person, I don't like undervaluing what one person is, because one person is still one person. That's more than zero. And I'm one of those people who always talks about how one is more than zero, which is obvious, but I mean it for other things. If that one person were your family or a friend or a loved one in any way, like, would you not be sad? Would you not feel the pain of the person who is your friend and who lost a family member or a loved one, and seeing that person in pain? Like, where's the empathy? And like, but the chances of this happening are low. And although, once again, none of us as citizens even want to think about the possibility of something like this happening, because who wants to go through this, or who wants to have the possibility to go through this? That's basically all I'm trying to say with that. Uh, so Guayaquil, well, and the fact that I think Guayaquil is a city that, even if we talk about the safest areas in Guayaquil, why risk it? Like, if the whole purpose of your Ecuador trip is just to visit Guayaquil, like only Guayaquil, like for any other purpose that's not visiting family. Because if you're visiting family, okay, I get it. I'm sure your family will help you keep safe. If your purpose is maybe you've got a job that's like really, really important and you have to be here and you're sure it's a legal job, like it's not like they're bringing you over here to smuggle drugs or something, or they're not bringing you over here to do something weird. Like, yeah, obviously, and you have confirmation that this is an actual job and not just you end up coming here and disappearing, never to be heard from again. Like, if you're 100% sure that there's a solid reason for you to visit Guayaquil that's not just pure tourism, then yeah, come to Guayaquil. But if you're just coming here because the only thing you're gonna do is visit Guayaquil, like, now's not the time. It unfortunately, there's so many things that could happen in Guayaquil. Even if we go down to petty crime, it's definitely a lot higher than in other cities. And there's always gonna be that one person who's gonna jump and who's gonna say, I was just in Guayaquil last week and nothing happened to me. Ho, 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 ho. Aren't I lucky? Yes, aren't you? But why risk it? Like, so many other places in the country, like we have Loja, you got Baños, you got, and I saw some pictures in Baños. I think I mentioned it last stream, of my friends who like traveled over there recently, and they had like a blast. Even saw some things that I didn't even know were in Baños. Um, you can go to Baños, you can go to Cuenca, you can go to Quito. And if your trip includes Guayaquil as this one of the stopping points, like, yeah, sure. As long as you're stopping with a group, or if you've got a good schedule going to Guayaquil, I'm not saying don't go like completely. Just make sure that everything that leads you to going to Guayaquil is organized. So that way you're not leaving things to chance. Because leaving things to chance, unfortunately, in a city like Guayaquil, puts you at risk. And the last thing I want is for you to be at risk. A lot of people here are just going to want you to come so you can spend your money. I want you to come and spend your money, but in a responsible way, in a way that's going to keep you safe. It's like if I went to the States, like, would I not want to be treated well? Would I not want to have a good experience going to the States for the people who watch this live stream who are from the States, or in any other country? Everyone, people from Canada, would you not want me to have a good time and be safe? Like, you would tell me, hey, be careful right now, Canada, this part of Canada is bad, we don't want you to get hurt. We want you to come and spend money in Canada because we want you to help the economy. We want you to experience the good things in Canada, but don't get yourself hurt over here. I'm guessing that's what the people from another country would want for me. And what I want from people who come over here is for them to be okay and to have a good time. What would we gain as a country if we let people come to Ecuador, like, experience the good things in Ecuador, but then because we were, I don't know if I want to call it irresponsible, arrogant, or I'm not sure what the right word for this would be, but like to let them come and experience something bad just because we want them to spend money here. Like what impression would that leave to the people who see that from the outside? Like, my cousin went to Ecuador and he came back without his phone. He almost got shot. Like, uh, what is the person who hears that gonna say? Oh, Ecuador's a terrible country. You go to Ecuador and you're gonna get hurt. We don't want that. I don't want that. So I don't know why anyone else would want that. I really don't get uh why some people can't get that through their heads. I'm never gonna like completely shut out tourism unless the country's literally going through war. Then I'll tell you, hey, you can wait to visit Ecuador. Right now, something's happening. Not right now, but if something were to happen. But if nothing's happening and it's just like some things that are internal, or like I've mentioned before, you're not dealing with drug gangs, cartels, you're not involved with the mafia, then you're not. What do you have to worry about here in Ecuador? Visit. You'll be fine. So yeah, that's the situation. That's my thoughts on that. Uh, Let me know what you think in the comments down below, in the chat. I want to hear from you, chat. By the way, buenas to everyone who has joined, everyone who's here, everyone who decided to make it to this live stream. I'm so sorry for doing a live stream on a Thursday at 9. Honestly, it was not in my plans. I was kind of contemplating doing a live stream today, but more so to talk about some extra topics, some things that I saw online. There was this article I saw about a soldier who basically, I didn't even get to completely share it because I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about this today. But just to give a recap of what I remember, basically saying his job is to protect the people of Ecuador, and not so much the interests of the government. I think it had to do with the protests and basically him saying he's not going to shoot a normal, ordinary citizen because when they're not doing anything wrong. And I think going into the idea of shooting a protester because they're technically a criminal. I don't remember if that was exactly the way it was framed, but I remember thinking to myself that I think that was like a decent stance to go against what's happening, because I think we talked about this last time, and I think when I made a post about Daniel Noboa calling people who were part of these protests as terrorists, like labeling them terrorists, I thought to myself, then at what point do you get labeled a terrorist? At what point is your peaceful protest, you just talking, you just demonstrating, not hurting anyone like physically, become a crime? In that case, also, who determines what is a crime? At what point are you a terrorist? So it's like I don't know. I know this isn't the United States, like, oh, free speech and everything, but like I feel like people should be able to peacefully protest, as long as they're not physically hurting anyone else. I do kind of feel like hurting people economically, because if we're trying to get the message to the government, you should go against the government, like, do something that the government will take into consideration. But then that's where I contradict myself as well, because then what do you do? Like, if you don't do these strikes, if you don't block these streets, people aren't going to pay attention to you. People don't care. When you don't do anything extreme, that's what I've noticed with all protests that happen around the world. And I kind of also feel like that's why the things that some countries implement, some of the actions some people take, certain presidents of other countries take, might be extremes, because that's what gets people's attention. That's what gets people to move. That's what gets people to actually do something. I've always thought about this idea of what's the problem with a peaceful dialogue with the person who you want to resolve things with. Like, why can't you just talk to someone? Like, if you have an issue with the situation going on in your country, why don't you just talk to the representatives? Why don't you just talk? Like, just, have a conversation, send a letter, make a call. And I realized that with all the demonstrations that happen, like, if you make a call, that's never going on the news. If you talk to someone, that's never going on the news. If you have a conversation with someone, that's never going on the news. And they might not ever do anything. But the moment that you block a street, the moment that you flip over a car, and I don't like that example, because I hate the idea that you would destroy someone else's property. But the moment that you do something extreme, people pay attention to you, and it goes on the news, and people actually do something about it. And it's so frustrating that you have to get to that level to get the attention of the people in government. Over here, I kind of feel like it's the same thing in the sense that the Congress doesn't care, the La Asamblea, they don't care. Like literally, they make rules that just benefit their political party, and that's the situation we talked about a lot during the time that we were talking about Guillermo Lasso, how no one would let his rules go through because he had a whole bunch of people from the Correa party in his assembly, and that made it so he couldn't do anything. And it's like, why don't you let things go through that would supposedly be a positive for the country, and you want the country to get ahead, and you basically hold back the progress just because you want to help your political party, or I don't even know how that helps your political party, because in my mind, how does that not make you look like a complete douche? Like, I don't even know if that's a word that we can use nowadays, but like, it does. How does it that not make you look completely terrible? Like if you're doing these things that hurt your country and you do them, and it's like people see that, like it's not like I'm blind, like I'm a citizen here, and I see the government wants to pass something that makes it so that people I don't know, like we said before, gangs are terrorists. I don't have a problem with that. And the government, the Congress is like, no, we can't do that because they're people too. And yeah, sure, they're people too, of course. But like, by doing that and stopping it without more of a reason, or at least coming to a better middle ground, like we talked about in the last stream, if you just let one person make all the decisions, then they'll do whatever. But if you have someone else, if you're dialoguing to make a good middle ground, then you can make a good decision. But if you're just canceling it out completely, then everyone's gonna look at you like, why wouldn't you pass this? Why wouldn't you pass this clearly good thing? Are you trying to hold back the country's progress? And it's terrible. I don't know. It's just it makes me think that you're making yourself look bad for no reason. You're making your party look bad for no reason. Like everyone talks about how Rafael Correa, I'm just mentioning him by the way, just to give the example. This is what you hear. It has these connections with these cartels. He's the one who was running the show in the background. If he was, then okay, we don't know that officially, although there's a lot of documentation, a lot of things that are coming out that supposedly indicate that that is the case. But suppose we didn't know that. By you, as Congress, as the Assembly, blocking everything that could stop these cartels to show that, like oh hey, like if you didn't block it, it would show that oh hey, they're blocking it. Why would they be in leagues with the cartels if they're blocking it? But by blocking it, it's like playing into the idea that yeah, if he's blocking it, it's for a reason. He clearly doesn't want the cartels to have a bad time because he's friends with them, and you can't hurt your friends like that, can you? So it's like it's crazy to me that like you sell yourself out by trying to do something that looks like a good idea to make the other person look bad, because by blocking it out, it's like, oh, this man is incompetent, he can't do anything. You make yourself look bad because oh, you're blocking it because you're clearly in leagues with the cartels. I don't know. It's crazy dumb. I needed that. Oh man. It's just that these days I've been kind of like sick, not sick, but sick. So my throat's been kind of like iffy. And just I made myself water with lemon, salt, and honey for today's special drink in order to help my throat. But yeah, that's the situation. With the car bombing, all I can say is that really, if we read the article in more depth as to what it's saying, we'll read from here. He emphasized that the police continue with the investigations of the event to determine the intellectual and material authors, but he said no criminal group has yet claimed responsibility for the blast. Zumarraga pointed out that in the second car bomb that did not explode, emulsions and explosive used in illegal mining were found. The agents carried out two controlled detonations of the devices that were inside cylinders. Now, the fact that no criminal group has yet claimed responsibility means that either A, it wasn't a criminal group that was involved, which I'd find really hard to believe, because then option B is that there's a miner, because a miner, as in someone who mines things like gold, uh, because it says that there's these emulsions who is clearly not in a good mental health space and is looking to get people's attention. It's the reason why I find that to be the less likely scenario is because I think I've mentioned this before. Like I said with the AR rifles here, the level of mental health deterioration where someone thinks that bringing some kind of weapon like that and doing something like that and hurting others, through this process is so low that, I mean, at least it's not something that you hear about as frequently as you do in countries like the United States, where the person who did a shooting clearly has to have some kind of political motivation. Clearly, they've been obsessed with some kind of illegal drug, or something that hurt their stability. Like I said earlier, the situation with the soldiers who might not be in the best mental health conditions might have come back and because they just weren't in a good place, decided this is what I have to do. Uh, you just don't hear that over here. So it would be surprising to me. It would be surprising to me to hear that the case of this situation with the mining, with the not the mining, with this car bomb was something motivated by a mental health crisis. It, in my mind, it has to be something related to either strictly politics, in some way, shape, or form related to the cartels who are not happy with them being shut down by the government, shut down in the sense that government is doing everything they can to supposedly stop all these gang leaders. I say supposedly because there are so many rumors that go around, so many things that you hear, where even some of the governments in Ecuador have people who are linked to cartels or drug gangs or gangs from the country in some way, shape, or form. I can't confirm it. That's what you hear, but it would be surprising to me that it weren't some kind of cartel or some kind of situation with politics, politicians, and if it were something related to mental health. Like, you could argue that because there was the mining, it was mining equipment, that it had something to do with that. But then again, like, I don't know if mining equipment is hard to get your hands on here, but maybe someone found a way to get their hands on mining equipment and they used that as an explosive. I don't put it. I don't think. I don't. Sometimes I underestimate criminality, and I don't know if they think about doing methods like this or creating a homemade bomb or something. But once again, I highly doubt it's something to do with mental health. But that is an option on the table. I don't know what you think. What are your thoughts? I once again don't recommend going to Guayaquil. That's not the city that I would recommend if you are doing your Ecuador tourist expedition. Like, I don't think Guayaquil is the place. I'm not saying, like, once again, I'm not gonna say don't go, but if you do go, like, make sure it's for something necessary. Make sure it's a short trip. Make sure it's something that's not gonna get you in a lot of heat. Juan Arellano, I heard it's safer than Guayaquil. Lol. If you mean the states, well, probably. Um, but then again, I don't know how many times in Guayaquil you've been, like, there have been school shootings or mass shootings out on the streets. But then again, I have seen some videos, some footage of things that are terrible, not just in Guayaquil, but in cities like Esmeraldas and such. So, and then to go on into one of the final points that I want to talk about today in terms of news, there's this article that directly goes into something of my career, because I am a teacher. For anyone who did not know, if you're new here, welcome, buenas. I am a teacher. Uh, but there's this news article. Yeah, I think that's good enough right there. Safety: Manta teacher attacked by a student died in the hospital. Whew, boy. Uh, well, first, I see a comment by Ed Diaz. Buenas, Ed. Is Guayaquil like the New York of Ecuador? If by the New York of Ecuador you mean a city that is considered to be dangerous in many places, then yes. If you mean Uh, it's just that New York, I have this image of New York just being big, beautiful city. Um, if you mean that, a lot of people don't really talk about Guayaquil and the beauty of it unless they're from Guayaquil. So it's kind of like, depends on which comparison you're trying to make. I'm guessing based on the context, you mean, is it dangerous like New York? Probably so. Thanks for the reminder. Not a problem. But anyways, here's the whole Manta teacher attacked by a student situation. This wasn't something that I heard about when it happened, like maybe the same day or a day after. That would mean, according to this was October 8th, a week ago, at this point, well, 8 days ago. And honestly, once again, this is one of those things that you just don't expect to hear here in Ecuador. So the article, the teacher who was attacked by a student at a school in Manta, for those who like it when I pronounce it in Spanish, died. On the morning of Wednesday, October 8th, 2025, the death of the psychologist was confirmed, who had been transferred to a hospital. According to preliminary information, the 16-year-old teenager took a glass to lash out at the school's psychologist after assaulting a teacher. The education coordinator said the minor broke a wallet to take the glass. I don't know how you break a wallet. I think they just destroyed. If I remember correctly, it was from like a portrait or something, and supposedly like they broke it or it broke, and they grabbed a piece of the glass that came from it, and they stabbed the psychologist in the neck, which was, I mean, as gruesome as it sounds, something that you don't expect first from a 16-year-old. And second, once again, going into the situation of Ecuador, like you don't expect to hear that in Ecuador. Like, this is where I kind of like don't like when United States or world news makes it to Ecuador. Like, I do like it's such a conflicting process, conflicting situation because I remember when we got no information, like let's just assume before the internet days, like but during like the early for Ecuador internet days, where people just had like bland smartphones or not even smartphones, they had the Blackberries. Or yeah, you could call it a smartphone, I guess. But it was kind of meh, and you would get like you wouldn't get the kind of information you get now, or people just weren't into like looking up everything or like looking for everything and just everything being shared. Like the most you would get was things from people in your city, not so much people all around the world. Which of course you could say as soon as the internet exists, you started getting that. But trust me, over here, it felt like a slog for things to make it to the point that they're at now, where you hear about everything, you see everything. You got your, I've got my students who are literally like, let's just say, 12, 13, 14, and they know things that even I don't actively look up about political situations in the States. That's going back to the situation with Charlie Kirk. I was surprised for them to talk about it. Kind of happy because they're smart enough to know these things, and they analyze it in a very good way. But like, it was upsetting to know that information reaches that level, and for them, okay, because they're smart, reasonable people. But like we see here, there's some people who clearly have mental health issues. Because I don't completely blame the kid who might not have had the help that he deserved, that he needed. I do blame him for killing the teacher, of course. Like, there's no going back on that, and I want him to be tried as an adult, because he took a life, and I think the life of someone who people that I know. Um, but like, the system has failed him in a way, and I don't think just the system, but probably his family, because as a teacher, we always go into the situation of where do the problems start, and we always agree the problems with kids always start from home. If you're not teaching your kid right as a parent, you can't expect the teacher to be the one who teaches them well, especially with the limitations that teachers have in institutions. And that was kind of the point of what I was going to talk about with this, because like I said, today's live stream might not have happened, and if it did happen, it was just going to be general just some things, some extras that I wanted to talk about because I just wanted to have a conversation about extra things because I've gone, I think, so far on 3 or 4 live streams talking about just news, and I just wanted to go into some extras. And this is news, but it was kind of an extra. But part of my discussion for this situation here was going to be the fact that we teachers aren't allowed to do a lot of things, and we are limited by the amount of things that we can do. Even being, and I don't want to say like being like, it's not being mean, it's being real. Like even telling a student that what you're doing is not okay can sometimes be not okay. Like you gotta paint it in a way like you're doing good but you can do better or something like that. And I know, and I get it, motivation is good, but sometimes you gotta be real with kids. You gotta tell them things that they are. You gotta help them out, like, and more to the more than what they're actually getting. It's kind of weird because like I kind of left the teaching space for a while prior to last year because I kind of felt like there were too many rules against the teachers. But now I feel like even if there are rules against the teachers, like some of them are okay, but some of them just don't let us do our job the way we have to. Like even putting a bad grade can be seen as bad. Like because the parents are going to come in and be like, "Why does my son have a bad grade?" When clearly look at the test. Why do you think they have a bad grade? They don't know this subject. Reinforce it, help them out, do something for them, and not just blame the teacher. Oh, you're not teaching them. Oh yeah, sure, we're not teaching the student when 20 students are failing, are not failing, are succeeding, and one student is failing, and it's my fault. Doesn't make sense. um but yeah, that's that situation. Ed, thank you for the donation. Keep up the great work sharing the news of Ecuador. I will keep doing my best. Uh, like I said before, we're here every other week. I was contemplating doing this as a weekly thing, but I feel like I can't get as much information as I need accumulated in order to talk about in one live stream if I just do it every week. If I want more like not global but countrywide news, I like to wait 2 weeks and I like to organize it in a way that's well. Like during the first week, that like for example this week that's coming up, I'll look for things that I feel like relevant and I'll save them. I'll write some comments on it, and then I'll go into the next week, look up some other things, save it, and then the day of the live stream, boom, we got all the information we need to talk about. Sometimes I find more, sometimes I find less. I don't like to waste people's time, so I also don't like to be here for longer than an hour and a half. Today, like I promised, we're gonna end this at around 10. I also have a bolon waiting for me in the kitchen. I forgot I was gonna bring it and eat it on stream, but I also don't want to. I also don't know if like I would be like hey, you guys are watching me eat. Like, is that a good thing? So I decided to just leave it in the kitchen. I'll go get it after I'm done with the stream. But yeah, let me read some of the comments. I was born in Machala and lived in Guayaquil. To me, Quito is the safest, but the protests are crazy right now, for sure. I've seen some of the videos, some of the news about the protests, and I also read an article that said, I think it was the ONU, but a different part of the ONU. Was it the ONU? Um, there was a something that I saw that was say that a worldwide organization that was saying that they have to look into the deaths of the 2 protesters to see what happened, because it makes no sense that someone would die during these protests when they're just protesting and supposedly it's a peaceful protest. While I do believe in some ways that no protest is truly peaceful if you're obstructing some kind of situation for the people, I do agree that a protest that's just people standing in the streets trying to get their rights is a peaceful protest in comparison to what I've seen in other protests where people throw things and people get violent. And like I said earlier, like flipping over cars, that gets attention, but it's violent. So it's not really the correct way, even though I do feel like it's the way if you want to get attention. At that point, I'm starting to feel like those protests probably set up scapegoats, people who they know are easily instigated, have them cause that chaos so that they get attention on their cause, and then everyone else is peacefully protesting and they don't get in as much trouble. Who knows? That's just my conspiracy theory on how people do their protests. They say the internet and all communication we have now has separated us more than connected us, unironically. That's this whole loneliness epidemic that I'm seeing, and AI is just making it worse. I don't I'm gonna probably make a members video for this, but I'll give you some of my thoughts about AI. And I do highly believe it is a very good resource to help you get your work done, to help you resolve things that you would have probably taken much longer before. Like, if you're doing something and you want to help have AI help you reduce the amount of time that it takes for you to do it, perfect. If it helps you, like, fix mistakes, give you advice, because sometimes as a person who doesn't like to bother people, like sometimes I'm like, all right, I don't do this, but I would rather ask a service, like some kind of website. Like, I used vidIQ before. Sometimes I still use it, sometimes I don't. I just don't have time. So sometimes the ideas just have to pop naturally, and I just have to feel I want to make this video. But like, if I want to use it, I can look it up. Because if I go out and ask someone, I feel like I'm gonna waste their time. They're not gonna want to help me. It's gonna cost me something to get their help. So it's like, I'll just do this myself. So AI definitely helps out a lot with that. But there's AI now that, like, basically it's your AI girlfriend. Like, I keep getting this ad, like, yeah, on YouTube, and I'm surprised YouTube allows it. Like, hey, big boy, download me. And I'm like, I don't need an AI girlfriend. If I want a girlfriend, I'll get a real one, not an AI one. And right now, honestly, I'd rather not go into the dating space because everything is just such a mess. It's so hard to go out there and date nowadays because people just don't seem to want to communicate. And it's so weird because, like, we talk about how people are lonely, but people actively go through the steps to make themselves more lonely. And it's like, wait, you don't want to be lonely, but you're doing things that make you more lonely. And honestly, I'm not good with mixed messaging or indirect messages. So if you want to tell me something, you got to tell me directly. All this game playing that people play, that people do, is just not helping me when I'm like out there in the dating space. So yeah, and you can say that just means that I'm a weak dater. Fine, whatever. I don't care, because at the end of the day, like, I don't have to be a strong dater to go out to be able to go out with someone who I like. Like, it shouldn't have to be as tough as it is, especially if people really don't want to be as lonely as they say they don't want to be. Ed, it's hard to be a conservative in this new world. It's kind of weird because if you're in a place like the States, it kind of feels like it's very easy to be conservative right now. If you're over here, I don't know. It feels like Ecuador is still in the state where there's a lot of conservative values here. Like, I believe in marriage. I believe that everyone has the right to believe in religion. Um, what else? I don't know. There's some values, like, this was something I was going to talk about the last stream, because I think some people might see me as, like, overly left, or I don't know. Maybe some people see me as overly right. Like, there's a lot of things in the right side, like, that I don't agree with. Like, personally, my opinion, I'm not into the idea of not allowing abortions. Like, I think abortions are fine. It's your body, your choice. Like, what am I gonna do with someone else's body? I can't. I don't have any control over that. Like, if you want to abort, then that's fine. Just don't 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 try to control people who want to abort. I guess is the what I'm trying to say. But also, don't make it something irresponsible. Like, it's your body. Take care of it. Like, don't purposely go out there and put yourself in a situation where you're gonna constantly be in a situation where you need an abortion, because then you're just not taking care of yourself. Like, there are things that I would ask of the people who have these values, like, they believe in abortion. Like, take care of yourself then. Like, if it's your body, then take care of yourself. And I'm not saying that means, like, hey, if you're not going to take care of yourself, it's not your body anymore. What I'm saying is, if you're going to fight about how your body is important, then make it important and take care of it. And that's something that I personally, that's my opinion, that I believe in that sense. And in regards to, like I said, marriage, I think marriage is okay. If you don't want to get married, I also think that, no one can force you. No one has ever been able to force anyone else to abort, to have a baby or to get married or to do any of these things. Like you have to choose. If these days you feel like having a marriage is detrimental to you, cool. I've seen so many posts, like so much memes, and I kind of feel like just because I laughed at one, now I get them all. Or because I thought I agreed with one, now all of them start showing up. Where it's like the standards that men in the United States, especially over here, it's a little bit less, but it's still bad. In the States, the standards for men, like you have to earn this much, you have to be this tall, you have to have these things, are just so tough to to accomplish, especially at the ages people are asking for. Like there are women out there who are asking for men who at the age of 20 have to be like resolved. Like they have to have everything set. And not everyone is like that. In fact, I believe like the majority are not like that. And I guess you could say that women are looking for the best possible option. And okay, you can do that. But once that becomes the norm, then don't then I see the other videos where there's the women complaining, men don't try anymore, men don't make the first move, men don't approach. How do you expect men to approach if everyone that they approach is looking at them like a walking ATM? I'm a man, and I cannot even think of how difficult it would be to to fulfill these requests that I've seen, especially in the economy that I live in. And that's what I kind of like about Ecuador. It's like it's still demanding. Like here, I kind of feel like if you want a woman to pay attention to you without you directly like being the one to initiate action, or even when you initiate action, like for there to be a more stable or quick connection. Like if you have like I guess like I've always said here, you have a car and you have a good job, like I'm pretty sure you'll someone's gonna pay attention to you. And I don't want to say it like, oh, it's because women are interesadas, women are like gold diggers or anything like that. Here, you could, if that were the case, then they're just gold diggers everywhere. Because what woman doesn't want a stable man? What woman doesn't want a man who knows what he's doing? A man who's ready, who's prepared, who is not playing games. Like I don't think that's a lot to ask for. The only problem is in an economy or in a situation like Ecuador's, some of those things are kind of hard to ask for, because at least for a lot of people who just start a job, like getting a car with a $400 salary, 500 if you want to round it out to the higher amount, it's tough. Having a good job at the age of 20, like unless you've got palanca, the connections, it's tough. Juan, I feel like many places are becoming like Tokyo, with their population declining due to men having a similar attitude about dating. They don't want to date because it costs too much to even feed themselves, as well as the little time they have to even date in their work week. The thing is, like dating, I don't feel would be complicated if you knew how to schedule it into your life, and if the other person were willing to help make it work. Like I don't know your situation, Juan. Like if you're married, if you have a couple, if you're with a girl or something, but like if you think about dating, like how if you think about your day, the day has 24 hours. Even if you work two jobs, let's just assume your jobs are from 7 in the morning until 3, and then 3 until 7. You can go out at night, 8, 9, 10. I know you're tired, but why wouldn't you make time for the person that you love? But you're not going to do that every day because that's just not reasonable. If the other person isn't willing to be reasonable with you, it's completely understandable why you wouldn't be able to want to date, or why you don't want to date if you feel that everyone is in that situation. And that's what I feel like the situation in the States is. There's this constant demand for the man to be there, to do something, to have more than what he really can realistically have. Some men can do that. Okay, cool. But not all men are some men. Can some men be all men? Yeah, of course. Like who can't, like if you had the opportunity, if you were offered a job that would earn you 100,000 a month. I don't know how much, I don't know if that's a lot in the States, but over here it would be insane amounts of money. Even over here, if you were earning $2,000 a month, man, you'd be really, 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 really well off. If you had that kind of job, like that kind of job offer, would you not accept it if it were something that's not like like selling your soul, like if you had to go or sell your body or something like that, like would you not do that? Of course you would. Like if you're a man, if you're someone who knows that you can handle this because you know you want a good life for you, for your loved ones, for the person you're going to be with, why would you not take that job? It's just ridiculous. But that's the thing, not everyone has that opportunity. And I've said this before somewhere, but not every man is a businessman. You can't expect all men to all of a suddenly, I got a business idea. Let's implement this business, and it's gonna go well for them the next day. Out of all the businesses I see here in Ecuador, the ones that just in my city, most of them disappear. If we talk about out of 100%, maybe 30% of them are still here, because those are the ones that were willing to stick it out, the ones that got ahead, and the ones that survived. My dad's business is one of them. He's like been here for since we've been here, so he's been here a very long time. Ed Diaz, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times, and then the cycle repeats. Not gonna lie, I have been thinking a lot about that recently, about how sometimes, maybe because of the life that I live, where I talk about the hardships of my life, because that's my violin, that's my situation, and I do feel like things could be better for me. But I know that people out there have much more difficult situations, and every time I see these stories all the time. I don't know if they're BS, but every time you see a story of a person, not even just a man, but someone who has been at the very bottom, like literally they have nothing, like they lost everything, bankruptcy, and the worst stage of their lives, I don't know. They do something. They start up an idea. They do some loans. They make, I don't know. They make some loans, and boom, they're the biggest thing since sliced bread. You see the, like, some of them have YouTube channels afterwards. Some of them become very successful entrepreneurs. Some of them run six-figure businesses. I don't even know if six figures is great, but I kind of feel like if you want to talk about amazing, like, hey, you're making millions, but then again, you can't compare one person's success to another. If you're at the very bottom and you're going up to making six figures, like, damn, man, you just did a really good job. You got ahead in ways that I could only dream of. But I think it's time to stop dreaming and to start making these things a reality. So, like I said, to end today's stream, there isn't really much else left to talk about, except, like I said, the channel update. I will be finishing my video. I could probably finish it by this weekend. All I got to do is go out and record the last scenes, the last things that I want to get from the places that I need to get them from, edit it into the video, and it's done. Do some voiceovers maybe as well. Then that video is done. But today, tomorrow technically, because the news is for tomorrow, might be a little bit special because I'm planning on doing another live stream tomorrow. Not 100% sure about that one, but I'm thinking of live streaming the Avenidazo, which, if you didn't know, is a Puerto Viejo event on every the middle of the month of October in Puerto Viejo. There's this huge, and I mean huge, like party on the streets that are around that are in like the middle of Puerto Viejo, Avenida Manaví, and all these streets. And it's like there's a whole bunch of like people playing music, people drinking, dancing, having fun. So I was thinking of doing that. I was thinking of live streaming that event. So you'd be getting a live stream today and tomorrow. I still need to psych myself up for it and see if I can find at least one person to accompany me for this event. Because if not, I'll just do it for my dad's business and just, show what it's like. Maybe walk around close to where it is, and show you what the Avenidazo is like. If I can stream that, I will. I'm just worried about the dangers. Like I said, it's not the dangers of like gang terrorism or anything like that, but the dangers of pickpocketing and stuff like that. So if I were to stream something like that, I would need at least one person with me, so that we can walk around, show what it's like, point out different things. If I can get it done, cool. If not, then I will make sure to make a post, at least showing some pictures of that. Ed, you better stream that. Do it. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I really want to do it. I've been really wanting to do it. I was actually on the fence of either doing that or in the morning tomorrow. There's also the parade. I remember I made some shorts like 2, 3 years ago of the parade, but I was thinking of live streaming that. But at the same time, I'm also like, should I live stream that because I already have videos of it, or should I live stream the Avenidazo? Maybe the only risk, aside from the risk of danger in the Avenidazo, is the risk of copyrights. Because since there's going to be so much music playing, there could be copyright risks due to that. But we'll see. I'll probably go out live stream, interview some people, and ask them, "What do you got to say about Puerto Viejo?" Since, like I said, this month the videos that I'm making are more dedicated to Puerto Viejo, so I feel like it would be good to ask people what they think, memorable moments in Puerto Viejo. I could also ask them about dating. That was something that I did want to do once because I've seen some shorts, some reels, some videos of people being interviewed. What do you think about dating or things about dating? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things that I have in mind. It's just the execution always ends up being my complication because I'm like, what do I do? How do I do this? What's the best way to do this? And that's my problem. I'm always waiting for the best way to do it instead of just doing it. So yeah, when is it? It is tomorrow night at around. I think it's. I mean, the real party starts at like 9 or 10 p.m. But I could realistically start live streaming at 8, and I think the streets would already be blasting music. Alex Crack. No hablo inglés, pero me suscribí y te dejo mi like. Agradecido, Alex. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí. Te lo agradezco. No sé si voy a hacer un en vivo del Avenidazo, pero si lo hago, espero que también te puedas unir. O si estás en el Avenidazo, espero que lo disfrutes. O si estás en otra parte del país, espero que estés bien. So yeah, I have that plan. If I do it tomorrow, you'll see it. Be aware. I'm gonna write the comment. Possible Avenidazo live stream tomorrow night at 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. Basically, it would be around this time. Like right now, where I'm having the stream, like that's when the stream would be tomorrow. So whatever time it is, we're at right now, around this time or an hour or two before. That's the plan. If it happens, amazing. If it doesn't happen, then I do deeply apologize. But I did think about that. No risk, no reward. I was almost gonna live stream it last year, but then I was like, I'll fly out and work security. I'll be waiting for you here, Ed. I need my bodyguard. Pilas, igual me quedo a ver si aprendo algo. I think every experience, cada oportunidad, cada experiencia that you have, que tú tienes, is an opportunity, es una oportunidad, so that you can learn, para que tú puedas aprender. Take advantage of it all. Aprovechalo todo. But yeah, for now, I think that's it. Thank you to everyone who joined. Por ahora ya hemos terminado. Igual agradecido a todos los que se unieron. Thank you for taking the time to be here. If you join the stream tomorrow, I'll see you there. If you have any suggestions for me, things that you want me to do during tomorrow's stream, send me a message. Si alguien tiene una sugerencia de algo que quieran que haga en vivo mañana, envíenme un mensaje, un email, send me an email so I can check it out. And yeah, without further ado, thank you so much for being here. Ryan, what's going on? Glad to see you here. Go get that dinner. I'm gonna go eat that bolon. Ahorita es hora de bolon. It's like my dinner because that's like the last meal, past my last meal because it's late. But yeah, see you guys possibly tomorrow. If not, hope to see you soon. Thank you for being here. Channel members, Buy Me a Coffee members, thank you so much for your support as always. It really helps me out a ton. If you want to become a member, I would really appreciate that. The support always goes into helping me be able to continue making videos and not have to worry about dying of starvation the next day. Not that far, but you know, it's sometimes tougher to do videos when you're like, oh man, I gotta make ends meet. But yeah, and it helps the family out. So thank you so much. I'll see you soon, and as always, ace out.